the hardest thing about being a founder is that like there's no doubt you're going to be punched in the mouth, but you never even get to practice for it. Like at least if you're a boxer, you get to practice for getting punched in the mouth before you actually go into the ring. In founding, you go in, you're excited, raise money, whatever the case is for you, and then one of those days you're going to get punched in the mouth, and you've probably never been punched in the mouth like that before. At least mentally.
Yeah. So this is a perfect segue to our next conversation, and I love you for that, Django. You don't even know that you did that.
Oh,
but
okay.
The question we're going to talk about next is how do you get up off the mat when you get punched in the mouth, right?
Yeah.
So let me go ahead and segue right into that. So we're talking about Shahab Kaviani, who is a friend, a mentor, and a growth coach at FounderWell. Sayle Hutchison, who I'm excited to meet here, is a trauma-informed executive coach at FounderWell. FounderWell is a platform that helps founders scale without sacrificing what matters most. Let me go ahead and do the proper thing here and do that. Up to the stage. Welcome. How are y'all?
Hey, good. Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, good to see your smiling face. Sayle, so good to meet you.
And good to meet you as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for taking the time out of your what I know is a very, very busy schedule. So we're talking about, like you said, Django, how can founders build resilience after they get punched in the mouth and knocked on the mat? How do you get up from that, right? So, yeah. I mean, let's get right into it. And so here's a question for you guys, Shahab and Sayle. What's one of the most common mental health challenges that you see in the founders that y'all coach?
Please, why don't you start?
Yeah. It really is a lack of resilience to stress. It's everything's urgent all the time. And so that quickly turns into, I can't sleep. That quickly turns into my ability to think has declined significantly. That quickly turns into then gut health issues and then ultimately burnout. So the topic that you are speaking about is so important because the stress is the body's response to pressure, right? And if you're a founder, you've chosen to live a pressurized life. So how you've chosen it. It's part of your dream to live a pressurized life, and living within that in a way that still creates a meaningful experience. It's your job as a founder to figure that out.
Can I say, I love what you said about the body's response. And so my wife and I went glamping last week up in Unicorn State Park, which is in North Georgia, about an hour and a half drive. And when we got up there, I could just feel my nervous system resetting. And the next morning we woke up, it was raining. We're in this big tent, the rain's coming down in the tent. And I'm just like, I don't want to move. This is awesome. I just felt like the stress like melting away from my body. And it was wonderful. Sorry, I digress. You want to say something, Shahab?
No, that's, that's part of my routine for sure. To borrow from a phrase from the Japanese, forest bathing, being in nature is important. But as far as what's causing it, and that's why at FounderWell, Sayle and I team up with founders to, she talked about how do you bounce back, and how a lot of the cause is because there's 100 things that you need to do. And where I kind of come in on that is trying to be more deliberate about what really is the next most important thing, and being able to park everything else onto the side. I've got most of the information out of my brain into a Trello board on a Notion page, and then really being clear about the next most important moves. And as you get more experience, being on my, having had 3 startups, it becomes a lot easier to make that judgment. But when it's a first-time founder, maybe even second-time founder, that's where I think these peer groups and having healthy relationships with your co-founders or, mentors, advisory boards, executive coaches, that sort of support system around you to help not only help you make the right prioritization decisions, but do it with confidence so you can let the small fires burn without being like, I got an open item here that's spinning in my head when I'm trying to go to bed at night.
Yeah. So you can burn bright, not out. Thanks. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So, you and I, we meet for mentor sessions I don't know, once every couple of months now. And, I appreciate that. We just try to, I unpack what's going on. And I'd like to think I do a good job of controlling the things I can control and focusing on the things I can control. I mean, I'm not going to ask you that question publicly, because if you say, no, you don't agree, I'll be very embarrassed, but we can talk about it later. But no, I do. We try to, okay, so this is what we need to do. Like, okay, so then how are we going to get there? Right. We look at the problems, then we talk about a strategy, then we focus on tactics. Okay, now we're going to do these 3 things, reach out to these 2 or 3 people. And I appreciate that. It helps move things along. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I would say is that there's a real biology to the stress in your life. And that biology, when you get everything's urgent, then you crawl up into your sympathetic nervous system and you start to just go to war with your life. How you relax, how you call in the calmer perspective leader, that's a skill that's really a biological one. Mm-hmm. And so you can know your biology and know how to work with your biology, you're going to have another tool in the toolkit. As Shahab talked about, prioritization, being able to think your way through it is one thing. How to really address your threat biology is another really powerful toolkit that we don't talk enough about.
Amazing. So what are 3 daily or weekly habits founders can implement to build resilience?
I've got mine. You want to start, Shahab?
Sure. Yeah, I think the sort of the overarching kind of umbrella that has to endure daily, weekly, monthly is having your social support system, and you're tapping that daily, weekly, monthly, depending on the roles that they have. So a real simple formula, not easy, but a simple to understand formula is I organize my support system. I think of it like a whole cabinet of people, like a president of a country might have, or a CEO of a big company might have, and they all sit at 3 different tables. There's a table for wealth, there's a table for health, and there's a table for self. And the wealth piece is around how are you managing your personal finances, your business finances, the investment in the company, and so on. And then the self is, are you getting connection, your relationships, love, health, and so on. And excuse me. And then I would say health is its own table, where having people have personal trainers or a podcast or a cousin or an accountability partner. These don't always have to be people that you pay, but being really deliberate about the roles that they play and inviting them in. And that's why James and I's relationship has gone on for almost 2 years, is that he's very deliberate about what to invite me into. There's 100 things that he's probably thinking about, and I like to think there are 30 or 40 of them I could probably help with, but he brings it down to the 1 or 2 things. And sometimes we move to self, sometimes we move to wealth, and sometimes we move to health. And so sometimes you're going to find folks in your support system, in your cabinet, that can play multiple roles, and I encourage that because they have a larger context. But just to get really tactical on the routines, the daily routines that I personally practice is a shutdown routine. I find that if I can really and it might just be like looking at that inbox and that to-do list 3 or 4 times, whatever that is, and then eventually closing that laptop down and be like, okay, there's nothing that needs to interrupt me being fully present at my dinner table tonight. Mm-hmm. The weekly exercises, the way I keep going is I change it every quarter, every season, so I don't get bored. So in the fall it's more trail running, in the summer it's more tennis, whatever that is. And then connection. This is an area that I've studied for many years, building and investing in your personal connections with friends, family, loved ones, to be able to air out your concerns and then get that that love and support that every person needs to endure and survive.
Amazing.
That was so beautifully put, Shahab. So thank you for sharing that. And what I would notice, to deepen what Shahab is talking about, is the nervous system, which is what I've been talking about, the threat biology, is powerfully rhythmic. Circadian rhythms, your heartbeat, your breath, your digestion, the language of your nervous system is rhythm. And what he's speaking to is consistent rhythms that make sense to create a stable experience, to create a rich experience. And I heard somebody say this the other day: is your calendar chaos with timestamps? Or do you have a strategy behind how you spend your time, right? And the body responds with the feelings of safety to predictability. And that doesn't mean that it won't be a shit show and right and left will happen. But on Tuesday mornings, I work out in the morning. I have a breathwork practice, and I deal with product fires on Tuesday. I have deep work on Wednesday. How predictable can your body follow you? What is the prediction that your body has so that it knows that it's safe? And that safety signals is biological. This was from 500 million years ago. It's not about weakness. It's not about discipline. It's about helping your body predict where it's going to be and how it's going to be taken care of, as a way to communicate safety, as a way to communicate that this is all going to be okay, and to keep you productive, to keep you positive, to keep you in your positive mental attitude. That rhythm is a super key part of it. And I love Shahab's framing of it.
That is so good. So Jeff just dropped this comment. So Jeff was here earlier. Health, wealth, and purpose is the trifecta of optimizing human behavior, of human flourishing, and the three pillars of Brighton. Thanks for sharing. As you were talking, I was like, this sounds just like Brighton, and that's Jeff's product. I encourage people to go check it out. Brighton.app. Like, go check that out. Jeff's the founder of that. He's written a chapter in the book. His story is amazing. If you didn't hear his story, man, if you sign up for this, like, go back and just listen to him talk about his life story. It will just make your mouth drop wide open. It's just, dude's been through a lot, and he's just really a really remarkable human being.
Mm-hmm.
And he just committed to donating $500 here. So
Thanks,
amazing,
Jeff.
right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it just came out.
He did it. Oh, so good. Thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate that. All right, so we got 8 more minutes. I got a couple more questions. I wish we had more time, Sayle, so we could dig into some of what you're talking about, these trauma responses and the biology of it all and stuff like that. It's just very fascinating. How do you help well, this is kind of what you're talking about a little bit, I think. How do you help founders differentiate between urgent crisis, stress, and chronic burnout?
Yeah. The difference of this is the body. I'm going to be a little bit of a broken record. So you don't know me, but I was 30 years an operator in startups, and I've scaled 4 companies to $1 billion. And stress has been a powerful experience in my life.
Wow.
And having to be taken out because you're done, you're at burnout, you have to go take a year off in my vacation jobs, right? That burnout is about unmanaged, sustained urgency that puts your body in the experience that they are in danger for so long that your body tags you out. Okay. You're not making responsible choices. I'm going to pull you out. I have been burnt to the end. And that is the final survival response of any human being, is to collapse.
I'm out.
Yeah. Your body basically takes you out of the game, right? Your brain is probably still trying to fight the good fight.
Stupid brain.
Right. The idea is, how do you keep yourself from being ridden by urgency for so long that your body is just genuinely unable to process it? And that is all the basics that Shahab was saying. It's not hard, but you cannot work your way out of urgency. You have to have community. You have to have exercise. You have to have practices. You have to have support. And the idea that you just need to work harder longer is your threat biology operating on your decisions. Right? And your board meeting all of a sudden becomes being the same feeling as being in a lion's den. You're not safe, you're not supported, and everything's urgent. And so everything that Shahab was speaking about is powerful. The habits of being a healthy person are required to avoid burnout. And what I see is I'm too busy to go to the gym. That is a short-term play. Your gym makes you resilient to be able to stay in the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And outcompete your competitors. I mean, if your competitors are going to, unfortunately, who might miss this session, they're not going to be able to endure and compete with you in the long term. So this is a long-term strategy. What I would add to that, and that was really eloquently put, Sayle, is to tell the difference between different degrees of urgencies and crises is gaining perspective. And the way we gain perspective is we swim out of the middle of the river and step onto the bank, so we can see what's going on and where you are. And those are the techniques that we've been talking about here. I would add to that fun and humor. I was wondering if Tyrone was going to be here today. I don't know if he's going to be here, but like, I miss Tyrone. But like, just having those people in your life, like, it's not small.
Tyrone.
It's healthy. So humor,
Oh,
bring
God.
levity to those situations. That's what for me has been really helpful. I've been seeing a pattern. As some of you might know, been studying the characteristics and traits of successful founders for about 7-8 years since starting Co-Founders Lab, and I keep finding out that it's very common not very common, but it is disproportionately common for entrepreneurs to think or want to be stand-up comedians. They're actually really dang funny. And so I
Well,
think,
because you got to laugh to keep them crying half the time as a founder.
yes, that's right.
What?
So keep practicing that, supporting yourself, whatever it is to help you gain that perspective and sort of hold on, what's big, what's small, what's medium, and what can I do about it? And just remind yourself, I've got options. We always have options. There's a solution to every problem, and supporting yourself with a system of people, a support system to help you gain that and maintain that perspective.
Yeah. I mean, if everything's urgent, nothing's urgent, right, Sayle?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
How can everything be urgent? Everything can't be. Look, I'm at a point in my life where, so I talk about my wife all the time because she is the most self-aware person I know and has the best mental health hygiene out of anybody I ever met. And I've improved my self-awareness because I'm married to her, and I kind of know when I'm feeling like crap. Sometimes, Shahab, we've talked a lot, and some days I show up, I'm like, bro, I'm feeling like shit today, bro.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, you know what? This other thing I was gonna do, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna go take my dog to the park. I'm gonna go ride my bike. I'm gonna go backyard and play fetch with my dog. Like, I don't care. I'm not doing it, and it will be there when I get there. And one thing that Brad Feld told me, Brad's a good friend, co-founder of Techstars, founder at partner at Foundry Group. I was, trying to spin up Kabila Ventures, which is actually how I ended up starting this nonprofit. Just having such a hard time raising the fund because of the environment, the fundraising environment. And on my founder value add slide, I had a bullet point. The slide just felt like kind of a throwaway, but I said I can provide mental wellness resources for my Portco founders. And I said, you know what, this fundraising shit is too hard. I'm going to control the things I can control because I have a therapist. I know how to do that. And I'm just going to go spin up a nonprofit and try to use that as a strategy to meet potential LPs in the fund. Maybe it takes longer, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I don't care. But at the end of the day, when I raise my fund, my brains ain't going to be scrambled. So if I don't want to do it, I'm old enough. I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to drive my mental health in the ditch trying to do anything right now because my children need me to be a good dad for them. And my wife needs me to be a good husband for her. So I'm just not doing it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
She said, thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Like, fuck it. Right?
Yeah. This is such a powerful embodied truth that you have.
And look, we're I don't imagine many of us on this call are working in a hospital, right? I mean, at the end, nobody's gonna lose a life if you decide to blow off something on, and you've done this after our meeting. You're like, I'm not doing that thing, and everything was fine on Monday.
Well, it's like Brad said, like, they can't kill you and they can't eat you. Like what?
Yeah, right. I love that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So anyway, all right, we're about at time. This was amazing. Sayle, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I have got to stay connected with you so I can amplify and support your content. Shahab, I don't know when we got to get another one in here. So, and thank you for that email about the UPenn book tour thing. That's super exciting. Very, very exciting. You deserve a second round of applause. I appreciate y'all.
You're welcome.
And we'll be talking to y'all soon. Yeah.
Thank you. Great event. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.